What's up, Family Liberty? Drill Sergeant, aka Admin Doug here. And there's a breaking story coming out of Russia over the weekend that I think hits closer to home than most people will be willing to report yesterday or today, if they even report on it at all. I mean, we can't break away from the 30th straight hour of alien drones in New Jersey just to report on a major world news event now, can we? An environmental disaster struck this weekend after two Russian oil tankers sank in as many days after being struck by massive waves during a storm in the Kerch Strait, which is off the coast of Russian-occupied Crimea. On Saturday, one of the tankers, the Volganev 212, with a crew of about 13 carrying 4,300 tons of oil, went down in the Black Sea with its bow torn away 80 meters from Taman. And while the numbers vary, Russia's Emergency Situations Ministry is said to have evacuated 12 crew members, with one reported dead and 11 taken to the hospital in serious condition. The second tanker, which was on Sunday, the Volganev 239, was also damaged by the storm, with 14 crew members on board. Rescue efforts have been suspended due to bad weather. The footage posted shows the Volganev 212 snapping in half, with its bow bobbing and then sinking below the surface, and a slick of black oil covering the surface of the Black Sea. And not to bury the lead, but this shows once again why we need to divest from fossil fuels, and it shows the dangers involved in not only its extraction, but its transportation. I mean, that's not the main point of the video, but I just want you to remember that when people say, oh, we're destroying the earth, that's not true. That we're destroying ourselves. This earth is going to be here long after we destroy ourselves. It's going to shake us off like a wet dog and be here for thousands and thousands more years for another species to try to do better. Anyway, like I was saying, this does show why we need to divest from fossil fuels. And it shows the dangers involved in not only its extraction, but its transportation. You know, those good old Russian safety standards we can all look forward to coming to the United States, with Elon rushing to deregulate everything. But anyway, both of the tankers are owned by the company Volgo Tanker, and a criminal case was opened over safety concerns about the Volganov 212, which was built in 1969. And the Volganov 239 was built in 1973 and now has a second criminal case underway. People, in 2007, the Volganov 139 ran aground, carrying 12 tons of oil, and 13 crew members were rescued at the time. Putin ordered the government to form a working group to deal with the emergency, but I don't know. You think that the same government that had no oversight over ships made in 1969, carrying thousands of tons of oil back and forth every day, and literally broke all the way in half like the Titanic, but without the iceberg, doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence that they would carry out the most robust criminal investigation. How about you? Right. According to Reuters, Washington is considering more sanctions on this shadow fleet. And that term, shadow fleet, gets to the heart of the problem, YouTube. Welcome to the kleptocracy. The kleptocracy in politics is a form of government by individuals who primarily seek personal gain at the expense of those they govern. Kleptocracy is a major problem both in individual countries and internationally, as kleptocratic countries tend to adopt broadly destructive policies and to subvert international institutions. And there it is. You see, that's why all of these people in the orange circle hate the UN, disparage NATO and our allies, undermine cooperative intelligence, the Paris Climate Agreements, even down to disparaging the World Health Organization. Even in the oligarchy that we already have, all of these international organizations still serve, in some way at least, to make countries accountable to the rest of the world. But to thieves and criminals, that sounds a bit too much like policing. The newly elected Agent Orange Elon Apartheid Musk and the token brown billionaire Vivek Ramaswamy want a kleptocracy. That's exactly what they're attempting to put in place with that fake government agency, Doge, that for some reason everyone in Congress is treating like it's a real thing instead of peeing on it like a Russian Trump video, allegedly, and flushing it down the back end of a bill that would take less than a paragraph to clarify who holds the purse strings, according to the Constitution. Congress, the point is, we all need to understand the difference between the oligarchy that we already have, thanks to the Supreme Court ruling that money is speech, making legal bribery great again, yay, and the kleptocracy, like the one our new Mistress of Mar-a-lago, Elon Musk, just paid for. Oligarchy, kleptocracy. Similar, but two different things, and you can't fight them both the same way. That spill that just happened off the Crimean coast is going to cause harm to marine life and coastal communities for decades, if not longer. But that company will never feel it. All the new boats will be bought and paid for by the Russian taxpayers. No international governing body will even attempt to bring justice to make the victims of this region get whole again. Nothing. They will continue to get rich by using the literal country as their personal Chanel purse, like every major industry in Russia, overseen by the crime boss himself, KGB Putin. Our new overlords want what Russia has. Velveeta Voldemort already wants to sell nuclear secrets and undermine the Five Eyes for a buck. Musk has no problem using satellites paid for by American tax subsidies, by the way, to undermine our allies at the request of dictators who are at the very least our rivals, if not straight up enemies. Mushroom Donnie and First Lady Elon Musk want what Russia has. And considering how many times the criminal, illegal alien Musk has talked to Putin before and after the election, it seems to me they're gonna get it. But it doesn't come overnight. A kleptocracy doesn't go away without massive violence, bloodshed in the streets, international state actors sanctioning or worse. For instance, according to the Kiev Post, European Union ambassadors have agreed to a 15th package of sanctions targeting Russia's shadow tanker fleet and Chinese firms making drones from Moscow. The Hungarian presidency said on X that the sanctions would target vessels from third countries supporting Russia's war in Ukraine and add more individuals and entities to the sanctions list. The loss of oil revenue is going to have a significant impact on the Russian economy, and experts say they'll face a turning point this year as oil and gas revenue falls by 50%. But it takes a long time to get those dirty-ass stilettos sunk far enough into a 200-year-old democracy, especially one founded by rebellious assholes who defeated an entire empire with bartenders and farm hands wielding muskets. Yeah, that's us. As opposed to a full kleptocracy, an oligarchy is still run by a few rich entities that can be, let's say, persuaded. When the ruling class have finally gone so far that the laws don't seem to work, the elected officials serve donors and not the people who elected them, Democrats and Republicans alike, good trouble still works in an oligarchy. If you can cause enough good trouble now, you can avoid the kleptocracy, which is inevitable if you don't. The oligarchs are fat and lazy and complacent, and they're relying on the rest of us to be downtrodden enough that we give up before we even try. They rely on us to feel so inconsequential and living hand to mouth that we're scared to even fight. But Dr. King showed us that once we do fight, we can actually win. But it only works if we're together. That's the key. It's the reason union workers still get paid more and have more benefits than workers in the entire states that don't have unions. That's the power of unity, working together. There's more of us than there is of them. And we have this saying a lot of times that, the poor guy, the rest of us, are being ignored by the oligarchy. The truth is they rely on the idea that we've been ignoring them. You see, I can neither confirm nor deny that the Sons of Liberty is okay with bodying health insurance CEOs. But I can tell you that's not the only way to ensure that you no longer ignore them when you see them. I've heard, for instance, that there's taxi drivers in New York who drive way too fast and find themselves in places that they weren't asked to go. I've heard also that there's some people who cater events that these rich oligarchs attend and end up having to go to the restroom for days afterwards. The only thing the note said was, "You've bought enough senators. Fix this." All I'm saying is, I don't know who or when or why these things were done, but it just gives me some ideas, doesn't it, you? Huh? Good trouble, while you can. Avoid the kleptocracy that's inevitable if you don't. Now, for all of you highly motivated people out there who made it all the way to the end without giving up, go ahead and type in the comment section, "Drill Sergeant." I made it, Drill Sergeant. And oh yeah, what time is it?
And now it's time for the throw punch!